This is a guide to Abby Jimenez, so of course I had to do my intro with the dog. Hi book lovers, and welcome or welcome back to the ultimate guide to Abby Jimenez. And if you love romance with depth, then this is the perfect author for you. And if you haven't read anything by Abby Jimenez, I am so happy to introduce you to your new favorite author. She's definitely my top 3, and I'm going to talk about all her 8 books, including her newest release, The Night We Met, which I found early and I immediately read it, and I'm so excited to include this one as well. So I'm going to give you a little summary of everything. I'm going to give you like reading orders, tips where to start, what book would be perfect for you, and then also I'm going to do a personal ranking of all of these beautiful books, and I am just so excited because I truly think that even though Abby Jimenez got some popularity and she's definitely not an unknown author, she's so brilliant when it comes to her writing that honestly, she's still underrated for me. So if you want to know more about this brilliant author, let's get into it. Just a little bit about the author herself before we go into the books. Abby Jimenez is actually not an author first. And when I looked into her, I was actually so surprised because I didn't know that. But she actually started her own bakery, and I think it's a chain. I think the name is Nadia's Cake, and she also won prizes for it. So that she's not just a really amazing author, but also amazing baker and was successful there. I mean, I'm not surprised. Like, this woman she knows what she's doing. And I feel like her experience in life and the things she tried, like, it definitely shows in her books. And what I mean by the brilliance of Abby Jimenez is truly that, yes, she writes rom-coms and there are hilarious moments, like laugh out loud moments in her books, but every single book has made me cry. And for good reason. Like, she really knows how to mix humor with emotional, heavy topics. Abby Jimenez she writes love stories, and she definitely doesn't write about movie love. Like, it's not the kind of love about like grand gestures and, you know, you meet this person and yes, everything changes, but she makes it about the mundane, like the day-to-day stuff. I don't know, she just captures love and relationships, I feel like, in a way that everyone can relate to. It feels so real, like so raw. The love that the characters have for each other, or even for like other people, like friends or family, it's so pure and it's so human. The books are also not really tropey, so even if there is fake dating in it, I feel like it's almost wrong to like put them in these categories. They're also so much more than the romance, actually. Like, they definitely lean more towards almost general fiction. I am a spicy romance reader. I love spice. And some of her books do have spice, but it's definitely more of that like intimacy and emotional spice. I wouldn't call her books like spicy romances, but some of them have a little bit of spice. That's really just the cherry on top. It's not what sells these romances. And this comes really from a true spicy romance reader. All her books actually represent important topics like mental health representation, grief, chronic illnesses, traumas. Like, there's so much to unpack. I would say her signature, and I do this with every author I have a guide on, like what is sort of their thing. And her thing is definitely what I just mentioned, realistic struggles, blending humor with emotional depth, and that the problems the couples or the characters have in her books are not simple at all. Like, there are so many layers, it's so much more complicated, and there's never an easy solution. With her books, most often I'm like, how are we getting to the happy end? I can't see it. And I feel like that's really rare for rom-coms. I love it when an author is brave enough not to have black and white characters, but show us, you know, the gray, the in-between, and how you can sometimes make a wrong decision and you have to live with it and the consequences, but it's fine. You can still be a good person. Like, it doesn't have to define you. And then, of course, another signature that I cannot not mention is dogs. If you're a dog lover, Abby Jimenez is for you. Every single book features a great dog, and for the occasion, I also got a little dog shirt on, and I love that so much, guys. And it wouldn't be an Abby Jimenez book without a dog in it. So if all of that sounds really up your alley, let's go into her books and see which one would be for you and which one you should pick up. We'll go in chronological order. So far, she published 3 interconnected series with 7 books in total, with the 8th one just on the way that I already got to read. And then we also got 3 novellas. So let's start with her first interconnected series. It's the Friend Zone series with these 3 books. So we have the Friend Zone, her debut novel, then we have the Happy Ever After playlist, and the 3rd book is Life's Too Short. Technically, all her books play in the same universe. If you read all of them, you see glimpses, but if you haven't read them, like, you won't pick them up. Just really nice if you're a fan and you can like see little tiny glimpses of the other books or the other characters. But let's start with her first book, The Friend Zone. And I think this was an incredible debut. I feel like this from the beginning really distinguished her tone already. This book definitely set the tone for her books with pain and humor combined. So in this one we follow Kristen, who knows she can't have children, and she's actually in a relationship, and she meets this guy, Josh, who seems perfect for her, but the thing is that he really wants children of his own. So that is sort of the problem at its core, and I love how she represented it all. I think in almost all her books there has to be some sacrifice. Like with her books, I feel like love is not the magic pill that makes everything better. It sometimes complicates things, but love is the thing that they all sort of fight for. It's the thing that makes the horrible things better, even if they won't go away because of love, which I think is a very realistic outcome. I actually got a reading vlog for this where I also bawled my eyes out because what happened in here just, it devastated me. But I want you mainly to go blindly into them and just like, you know, immerse yourself in it. And I definitely think that it's the best way. And also, funnily enough, because I say they strike up a friendship, I would say that I think probably all of her books are like lean more towards the friends to lovers side. Like none of them really have, you know, enemies to lovers. I am an enemies to lovers girly, okay? And I still love her. I think all of her books just have this element where you see the friendship in their romance first and how that develops. So this was her debut novel that definitely set the tone for Abby Jimenez. Then we go into Happy Ever After playlist. I will die on the hill to say you need to read her interconnected series in order. Not all of them, but for example these two, I'm not arguing you have to read them in order, and I'm definitely not gonna say much about the plot in this one because I don't want to spoil things that happen in here. I just want you to go in more blindly and just like enjoy what this author did with this series. So in this one you follow Sloan, who is the best friend of Kristen, and Sloan is in quite a bad place when you start this book, and she finds, of course, this dog that ran away, and she calls the owner, and the owner is actually this up-and-coming pop star, Jason, and they start texting each other. He actually had a dog sitter, so it wasn't him like losing the dog. And again, they kind of become friends first, and they kind of start also sharing the dog. There's a lot of baggage, especially from Sloan's side, why she's very hesitant to fall in love. And it's a book about grief and moving on and how to sort of find yourself again. And then we've got Life's Too Short. This one, for example, isn't all too connected to the other two. You see the guy Adrian mentioned in here. I think he might be a cousin of Kristen or something. But this, for example, if you would want to read it before the others, I would say yes, you can go ahead because it's not too connected. But this one, again, is a beautiful friends to lovers slow burn. In this one we follow Vanessa, who basically lives her life as if it would be cut short because of her family history. And therefore she also avoids long-term attachments, and because of some circumstances with her sister, she actually becomes the guardian of her niece, who is still a baby, and she all of a sudden is like this new mom with a baby, and she's obviously quite overwhelmed. And then her very handsome, good-natured neighbor comes over and kind of just starts helping her. He also doesn't want to date because he just came out of a relationship where he got betrayed, and he is sort of just over dating. So both of them aren't really interested, even though they're attracted to each other. Also a very beautiful romance. So this was her first interconnected series. And then we got the Part of Your World interconnected series, which I think really put her on the map and is her most popular series, probably, for very good reasons. And it starts with Part of Your World, which was also the first book I actually read from her, and is to me one of those books I feel like I can recommend to just kind of anyone, even if they don't love romance, because it is just that good. In this one we follow Alexis, who is a very successful ER doctor, and she just came out of this really horrible marriage, and she ends up having a one-night stand with a younger guy who is a carpenter in a small town, which is maybe like 2 or 3 hours outside of where she lives. And she kind of can't stop thinking about him afterwards, calls him again, and let's say they start a situationship, how we young people would say nowadays. But it's sort of her escape haven from everything that's going on in her real life in the city. Their worlds are literally like polar opposites, and again you have that feeling the whole time, like how will you resolve this? Like it just seems like your lives can't really melt into each other. And I loved how Abby Jimenez really showed how the whole like opposites attract looks really nice on paper, but comes with a lot of challenges. Actually, let me put these here. Also, I do own Part of Your World, I just couldn't find it. But the next one I have here is Yours Truly, which is the second one. I will never ever recommend reading this interconnected series, not in order. I think this is probably the only interconnected series, at least to me, where I feel like it's a crime not to read it in order. And it's just so amazing to me how she intertwined all these 3 books, and you have to read them in order. So in this one we follow Brianna, who is the best friend of Alexis from Part of Your World, and she's also a successful doctor, and she actually kind of waits or expects to have a promotion, but a new doctor comes in and he seems to be up for the promotion as well, even though he just got there. And because of a bad first impression, they don't really seem to like each other. But he apologizes via a note. Again, they start to become friends. And he explained in the note that he actually deals with anxiety and he was just very overwhelmed, which is why she got the first expression. And she's so good with him, and the mental representation of anxiety in here, it's just on another level. I love this book so much. This is just, it's gold. And I loved every single second of this. This was beautiful. I think this is the best way to describe this book, or the love story. Like, this was so beautiful. This, for example, does have fake dating, but it feels so not tropey. Obviously, I also highly recommend this one. And then we got the third book in this interconnected trilogy, and that's Just for the Summer. And as I said, you have to read this in order. Like, this book hits different if you read it in order. And this had such corny synopsis that I really didn't know what to think about. But basically, our two main characters think they have this curse that every time they break up with someone, that someone, like, immediately afterwards finds the love of their life. So they think, why don't we just date each other and then we cancel each other out? So then we break up and, like, we'll find the love of our lives, which I think is a very solid plan. And Emma is actually a traveling nurse. So she arranges to be, I think, in the small town where Justin lives for the summer. See their title there, Just for the Summer. So they can do the whole, like, dating thing and then break up. But what they didn't expect, that the actual dating thing is way better than what they ever experienced before. And Justin is just, he is such an amazing book boyfriend. Whenever they go on a date, he, like, has this questionnaire on, like, what she wants to wear or what she wants to do, and then he picks out the perfect date to that questionnaire, which, like, don't we all want something like that? But if you think, because of the cover and the cute plot, that this is like a cutesy little summer rom-com, you're so wrong. Like, this, I think, was one of her most emotional books almost. And both the characters go through quite a bit. As the last book in this trilogy, it just hit different. It made me appreciate her writing and her, like, thinking about these characters and the stories just so much more. So also, obviously, I mean, I recommend all of them, but this highly recommended. And before we go into her latest series, I actually just wanted to mention the one short story she has, The Situationship, because it is actually about Emma's best friend in here and another person from this interconnected series. And it just more or less, like, they're meet cute. Like, it's a very, very short one. I think it was like an extra chapter in one of the special editions or something. And I think it's a crime that we didn't get a whole book on them. But I also feel like if you finish that series, it's so nice that you still have a tiny bit of that universe and, like, this trilogy left. So I would definitely say, if you love that series, read The Situationship, but it's not a must, and it's definitely not something I would recommend to read if you haven't read that series. Like, it won't make sense at all to you. So then her latest interconnected series, I'm actually not sure if it will be a trilogy as well. Say You Remember Me is the first one, and I feel like the best way to describe this is about a long distance relationship. And I had a long distance relationship for several years. So I feel like on some levels, this was obviously very relatable. But then also I found these characters sometimes a little bit insufferable, because I was like, just get over it. I mean, so easy to say, because these characters had a lot of stuff going on, especially our female main character, Samantha, because she moved away to help out her mom because she got dementia. I felt like it was so hard reading about that, especially because we were, like, at the beginning of that stage. You just felt what she was going to lose and have to witness to sort of lose. This is also, like, peak meeting the right person at the wrong time, because these two have a very cute meet cute and hit it off immediately. Like, that day they meet, I think they go on a date and it's like their best date, but also the next day she moves across country. And obviously they just had one date, so it's like, let's just forget about it and move on. But both of them can't move on. But then again, there was also this realistic side of the characters being aware of it. This might be too hard. Like, should we actually still try to pursue it or leave it? And it was a constant question. And even though, spoiler, this wasn't my favorite, like, you don't know how much I still appreciated the writing. And some of the quotes in here are so beautiful. It was just that the actual, like, plot wasn't my favorite. That's also how you know that someone is an incredible author or a favorite author to you. And what I found very interesting about this one, when reading actually the author's note of this, I think Abby Jimenez is one of the few authors where I always also read the author's note. And this was actually supposed to be the second one and this the first one in this interconnected series. However, she worked for 2 years, I think, on this book. And actually the idea for this book she had when she wrote the Happy Ever After playlist, which is her second book, guys. And it makes so much sense how she got the idea. And this took a lot for her to write, and she was behind schedule. So she and her editor, I think, decided to switch it out and make this the first book. And she wrote this, I think, in like 4 months. Just wanted to mention that as well because I thought it was very interesting. So that's Say You Remember Me. And then, guys, like, I actually can't believe that I found this in a bookstore early. I think it actually comes out on the 24th of March. I read this in like 2 days. Guys, this was so good. And I went like almost all of the books that I read blindly into this. The plot in here just screams drama because it's a boyfriend's best friend trope. If you, again, want to do the trope thing, which I usually like that to describe books. I just feel like it doesn't really match Abby Jimenez vibe. But when I heard that, I was like, okay, wow. How will she do it? Because I know that Abby Jimenez wouldn't just write characters black or white. Like, it would be so easy to make one person really bad looking in here and make the decision so easy, but she didn't. And that's just the brilliance of Abby Jimenez. Like, she wrote characters here, again, that made mistakes. I don't know if this would be everyone's favorite. I think she handled the story with so much care. You truly understand the characters, and again, I love that she didn't go the simple way and just, you know, gave us black and white characters and it was easy to decide, but it was actually hard. And, you know, you saw the characters struggle, and why I also cried in this book was actually the friendship. And yeah, I think this just showed relationships, and I don't just mean romantic ones, but like, you know, with friends, with parents, in a very, you know, human way, and how not everything is healthy, even if you want to help someone. And yeah, she just, again, did an amazing job with this book. What can I say? She's just incredible. She's like a mastermind. I don't know how she does it, but yeah, I also really love this one. And if you love tension, and especially if you love slow burn, this is her slowest slow burn. I actually just did a slow burn recommendation, and when finishing this, I was like, damn it! Just quickly wanted to mention her other 2 novellas, which are The Fall Risk and The Worst Wingman Ever. So The Fall Risk is basically about 2 neighbors who get trapped in their apartments because like the staircase collapsed, and they have to stay in their apartments for a couple days, and they sort of decide to hang out together. She has a stalker, so she has a lot of anxiety, and obviously also doesn't really feel like she can have long-term attachments. And what I loved about this short novella the most actually is that both of them had best friends that obviously also helped them with like getting food and all of that, but the best friends also sort of started to have like a little romance, and you obviously only saw like the outside of it and just glimpses. But Abby Jimenez, if I can have one request, it's, can I please get their romance as a book? Like, I love them so much. I also love the main couple, but I don't know, the 2 side characters, they just got me. And I did enjoy The Fall Risk a little bit more than The Worst Wingman, which I can almost not remember. It kind of started with like a note left on the car, which like started this thing between the 2 strangers, and they really connected when they meet. Apparently it wasn't really all that rememberable for me. So after going through all her books, what is actually my recommendation where you should start if you haven't read anything by Abby Jimenez? I clearly think you should read all of them, but my true recommendation is to start with the Part of Your World series. It is definitely the most popular one for a reason, and these are some of her best books, and they're not overhyped at all. So I feel like even if you have high expectations for these books, they will be met, if not even surpassed. So this is where I would start. As I said before, you have to start in order. So read Part of Your World first, then you go into Yours Truly, and then you go into Just for the Summer. Read them in order, and also before you go into any other Abby Jimenez book, like finish this interconnected series. And then I would truly say, like, go into any book that you think would like interest you the most. There's not one book by her that I wouldn't recommend. The only thing that's important to me to mention is that if you want to go into the Friend Zone trilogy, you have to read these 2 books in order. If you want to read Life's Too Short on its own, that's okay. You can't read this without this one. I won't allow it, okay? With these 2, I feel like you can read them in any order. So I would say you can almost consider these like standalones. If you love slow burns, I would recommend these 2. If you want something like Right Person, Wrong Time, I would actually also say these. This would fit the trope as well. But yeah, I feel like start with Part of Your World, and then you will want to read all of them. You can skip the novellas. I don't think any of them are like must reads. I would still recommend them. It's just not the ones that I would like advise to go in first. So that only leaves us with the hardest part for me to do, and that's the personal ranking. To no surprise at all the 3 novellas are at the bottom. I put the worst Wingman ever on number 11. Then we've got the Situationship and then the Fall Risk. I feel like for all of them, I just don't really have that many feelings. So when it comes to her books, I don't even want to say her worst book. I still enjoyed it and I still would recommend it. But the one that I liked the least is Say You Remember Me. And it just wasn't my absolute favorite story. It is so hard to rank some of these books. The next one, I would... oh my god, this is so hard. I'm between these two. I think I also rated them the same. They're both incredible books. I think they had so much heart, but both of them had things that I didn't love and it wasn't my favorite plot. Which one I liked better? Because I was a lot more emotional in this book. That I cried here as well, but this I cried more at. So I think that's how I'm gonna rank them. So this comes at number 7. And then, as I said, next is the Happy Ever After playlist. I think with this one, it was really that I just expected something very different from after reading the first book, and I would have loved going into that direction a bit more, but obviously that's on me. Like, if I have different expectations how a story would go, like, this author doesn't write just for me. Yeah, but I also don't know why I explain myself, because obviously this is my personal ranking, so yeah, this is at number 6. The next 5 books are so hard. Like, this is a brilliant book. I feel like it doesn't deserve to be on this spot, but you know, here we go. It's Just for the Summer. I gave this 4.5 star. Maybe on a reread, I would actually give this a 5 star. I would have loved even more of the romance. I feel like there was so much going on with our 2 main characters that it took a little bit away from the romance, even though I think the things that were going on were beautiful, and this book is just amazing. As I said, it doesn't really deserve to be on number 5, but it is where it ranked. Then we've got The Friend Zone. This book broke me. Yeah, I don't know if I could ever reread it, to be honest. I can't believe that this was her debut novel. I feel like it's just wrong that not more people talked about this. I think maybe because it really is not your typical romance, but I love this one so much. So yeah, this comes at number 4. Then number 3, guys, and another 5 star that I got this year. Is her latest release, The Night We Met. I am so excited for you guys to get this book in your hands. Oh my god, this is just... it's just Abby Jimenez through and through. I don't know if this will be everyone's favorite. And I will say, it's so weird. Like, I almost thought maybe giving it a 4.75 because I feel like this book is perfect when it comes to what this was supposed to be or what this was supposed to make. The only thing why I was a bit hesitant with the 5-star rating is that it's not my kind of love story, my kind of romance. Like, it's a bit too slow burn for me, but I felt like that was so personal to what I like that I was like, no, this book still deserves a 5-star because it's perfect. It just, me. Also, I just couldn't stop reading. Every time I wasn't able to read, I just thought about these characters. And really, the last, I don't know, 30 pages, they just made this book a 5-star. I feel like it just really, really deserves that. With book number 1 and number 2, for me, they're the same. I hate that I have to choose. Probably on another day, I would choose differently. It's so hard. They're some of my favorite books of all time. I hate that I had to choose, but I put Part of Your World at number 2. And then Yours Truly at number 1. For me, both of them are number 1, okay? I'm doing this for the video, so this is number 1. But yeah, guys, there you've got the ultimate guide to Abby Jimenez books. I really hope this helped. I really hope you find your new favorite author with this. And if you're just here for the vibes, you've read all of her books, you just wanted to see my personal ranking, then please write in the comments what your favorite book by Abby Jimenez is. And give this video a like, subscribe for more bookish content, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!